A question, a single question, has plagued the Pokemon community for years. What is the first Pokemon? The reason it plagues our community is not because the question doesn't have an answer, but the fact that it has too many answers. Is it Bulbasaur? Is it Rhydon? Or maybe Arceus? It is the god of Pokemon after all. This question fascinates me, but what fascinates me more is the brother of this question, one which very few seem to ask. The answer to which is also manyfold, though it may seem simple at first. The answer to which is the backbone of Pokemon's art community. Today, it is my goal to find this answer. Good morning, stars. It's your boy LavaTyrant, and this is my search for the first FAKÉMON. Now, to answer this question, we must specify, well, the specifics. Specifically, the criteria which allows a FAKÉMON to be classified as such. Through my research, I came up with a few categories and a FAKÉMON from each that classifies the first of their kind. My general criteria was that the mon had to have either been made to fool or was one which somehow appeared in official or official adjacent media without ever being encounterable. Now, I did my utmost research and came to my own conclusions, but if you disagree and think there are candidates I do not discuss today, make sure to leave a comment. I would love to look into them. We will first start with an honorable mention, however, that being Korechu. If you have been a Pokemon fan for long enough, you'll probably recognize it as a magazine hoax for Hey You Pikachu, dating back to 2005. This is still an honorable mention, as this is arguably the most recent of the mons that we will discuss today. It's still an undeniable part of Pokemon history and FAKÉMON memorabilia, and so deserved a spot in this video. Also, I decided to make my own interpretations of each of the mons, and so here is my interpretation of Korechu, whom I call Supachu. But with that said, let's move on to our real first candidate, Yoshi. Yup, Yoshi from Mario, Yoshi. I'm of course talking about the infamous Expert Gamer April Fool's release, which showed how Dragonite could in fact evolve into a Yoshi. Of course, this was a hoax, but it definitely, to an extent, qualifies as a FAKÉMON. I mean, it is a fake evolution of an existing Pokemon that was made to fool casuals into thinking it was real. More notably, this Yoshi, whom I'll be calling Dragoshi, is dated to 1999, which is very old. When it comes to the category of hoaxes, it undeniably takes the cake as being the first FAKÉMON hoax, alongside Lickitung evolving into Luigi, which was also in the same issue of Expert Gamer. But I wasn't satisfied by that answer. It seemed weird. More precisely, it didn't feel right that the first FAKÉMON would just be Luigi and Yoshi. I don't know, I guess I expected something better. So I kept digging and digging, until I found something very interesting. A website lost to time. The year is 1998. December 27th, a website is founded. In a time before the Wayback Machine, a single website united the Pokemon community to make fake Pokemon. I am talking about Mew3 and Froglet's Pokefactory. This was very hard to research. I wasn't even born in 1998, but from what I gathered, the story goes something like this. Two people, Mew3 and Froglet, created this website with one goal: creating new and original Pokemon, and making them look like real screenshots from the game. The ideas would be sent in by fans, and they would pick the best with their staff and make them into a believable screenshot. And here, we would see the emergence of the very first community-made Fakemon, drawn by Froglet's brother Aspenth and made by Hourglass. Gloob. Yup, this thing is technically the first Fakemon. Yay, I actually had a full-on existential crisis when I sifted through the archives and saw this thing. Now, there isn't really any way of telling if this is the first Fakemon drawn by the community, because, well, I was working with a March of 2000 archive, as the earlier ones aren't archived. Thus, there is no way of guaranteeing if any Fakemon prior to 2000 was lost. But from the resources available, it's undeniable that Gloob is undoubtedly our first Fakemon. But before I continue, I would like to talk a little more about this website. This website is not talked about at all. It has immense rich history, but even searching for it is a hard time. That is probably mainly due to how many times this website went down, but nevertheless, it is something that needs to be brought to the limelight again. This is literal Pokemon memorabilia lost to time, and I hope I was at least able to bring it back into the eyes of those who may find it cool and preserve it to an extent. But of course, we aren't done yet. Pokemon originally released in 1996, and there was no way our first Fakemon took 2 years to make. So, back to the drawing board. During my continued research, I came upon the anime, and something clicked. The anime has real animals. Time and time again, the first season shows us real animals, which of course, through our current knowledge, can't exist in the Pokemon world. And given these don't appear in the games, that would surely mean they are. October 2nd, 1998. The 20th episode, Ghost of Maiden's Peak, airs. And in it, we see the best examples of Fakemon, one of which being the mongoose. This episode is definitely not the first to show real animals, but unlike previous ones which had animals that could be considered as later introduced Pokemon, this episode's Pokemon were in much clearer view. And what can I say? This mongoose is definitely not Yungoos. I mean, it wears a gas mask, so it might be a poison type. There are no poison type mongoose Pokemon. That leads me to believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that this is the first Fakemon. Right? Why is there more to the video left? The thing is, this was still 1998, and more importantly, there was one Fakemon that I was certain would show up, but didn't yet. So, I went further back until I came upon a word that reminded me of memories long forgotten. I came upon the ancestors of Fakemon, the Pokegods. According to Bulbapedia, the Pokegods were, quote, a certain group of fake Pokemon whose Pokedex numbers were greater than 150 and supposedly obtainable in the Generation 1 games. Mew was really the first of them, being essentially a mythical monster at the time unobtainable that led to theories of others like it. Pokegods are essentially the original Fakemon. They are literally the first, and of them, there's really one name that takes the cake as the first. A name that has transcended time and lives on still, mentioned and referenced in various media related to Pokemon, but never encountered in a game. Mew 3. Of course, every loose end leads back to Mew 3. Even one of the creators of the Poke Factory took the name from, you guessed it, Mew 3. The oldest playground rumor of Pokemon a third variation of Mew. I mean, Mewtwo existed, why couldn't there be a third? One far superior to Mewtwo. Its name is even potentially heard in the very first Pokemon movie. There is no doubt, Mew 3 is the strongest and the first. You have finally made it to the first gym you must face, one situated in Pewter City. The first challenge that lies before you in your journey to become the very best. The Rock-type gym leader Brock awaits. With a heavy heart you enter, seeing a man. The man is a bearer of knowledge, however, you are more interested by the statues he stands beside. On each, a Pokemon? Throughout your research, never have you encountered anything that could possibly resemble them. You brush it off as a poor excuse for a ride-on. You move on, defeat Brock, continue your journey, go through each gym, but every time, the same Pokemon statues. Eventually, it can no longer be excused as simply a poorly made ride-on, so you ask him, the man standing beside the statues, "What are those creatures?" He replies, "No one knows. They were found and restored long ago. A symbol of authority, perhaps. Many gyms across the world have replicas of them, though these are the real deal. Although my theory? Just a hoax." A hoax? Yeah, I mean, have you seen them? Clearly does not in any way resemble a Pokemon. None in our knowledge, at least. No, to me, it's a fake. A fake Pokemon. And the first of its kind. I guess you could call it a, or you know, poorly made ride-on.